which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did you just come back from somewhere? I did. Where?
Adoption of agenda.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Public comments. Is there anybody wish to make a public comment at this time? Seeing nobody rushing the front. Item 6 is consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. And item 8 is new business. 8.1 is resolution 032001 and 032002, designation for depository. So last meeting, we appointed Michelle Scanlon as the clerk, and this is to put her name as a depository.
So, correct, Mayor and Council, in your packet are the resolutions. We do these resolutions annually as part of our compliance with State Statute Chapter 34, which identifies where we're able to deposit funds of the cities, and then the signers on those accounts. So staff would be just looking for a recommendation to adopt those two resolutions for the 2020 fiscal year.
Mr. Mayor, I'll offer a motion that we approve resolution 032001 and 032002.
Second?
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve both the resolutions for designation for depository. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Lindell,
Yes.
Kittle,
Yes.
Montello,
Yes.
Volkert,
Yes.
Weinmeier,
Yes.
Zakowski.
Yes.
And item 8.2 is Plan Commission appointment, Ben Kurth. Since Michelle Scanlon had been on the Planning Commission and resigned, there was an opening. We had taken applications, and Ben Kurth was recommended by a number of people. If you have any questions, I'm sure Noah could fill in any, if anyone has any questions.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to offer a motion that we approve the appointment of Ben Kurth to the Plan Commission.
So we have a motion to approve Ben Kurth for the Plan Commission. Is there a second to that motion?
Second?
So a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Kittle,
Yes.
Montello.
Yes.
Volkert,
Yes.
Weinmeier,
Yes.
Zakowski.
Yes.
Lindell.
Yes.
Item 8.3 is the final plat application, Nazar Heights Development, and I'll turn it over to Noah.
Yep. Mayor and Council, our first item from the last Plan Commission meeting is the final plat application for the Nazar Heights development. You may recall last fall we had the annexation and the preliminary plat for this development. In terms of our process, this had a public hearing at the last Plan Commission meeting with a Class 2 meeting notice in the paper, and we come to this evening for the City Council for final action. Our comprehensive plan guides this area for medium high-density residential. I think everyone's familiar with the location. This is East Richmond Way and 140th Street. The property at the time of annexation was zoned Z2 suburban. This shows the final plat application, and I'll actually skip ahead just so you can see the full build-out. This would be a construction of a new street, Nazar Way. There'd be a total of 50 units, 25 buildings. There's a sidewalk in the interior of Nazar Way, a trail connection running out here to connect to the existing trail on 140th, as well as a trail running to the north. Our bike and pedestrian master plan identifies a future connection running to the north to connect to Paperjack Drive along the church property there. The recommendation from the DRC and the Plan Commission is to approve the final plat. There are 6 conditions noted at the Plan Commission meeting regarding the development agreement, street signage and pavement markings, boulevard tree plantings, all utility issues subject to review and approval by the Public Works Director. The developer is responsible for street lighting costs and our standard impact fees, which are addressed in the final development agreement. In terms of timeline, we're scheduling a pre-construction meeting sometime next week, and developer looks to start construction here later this month. Happy to answer any questions that you might have, but again, our recommendation would be to approve the final plat.
I actually have a couple questions. So can you bring the map back up, the plat, I'm going to call it the plat map. Ron, this is your project, isn't it? So is this and I'm really just curious about this, is this going to be an association? So we're looking at Richmond Way there, and I'm just curious about sidewalk, and that's not, I'm not bringing this up for your, I'm going to ask you, no. We don't have sidewalk going quite that far, do we?
So we have a paved trail the whole way on East Richmond Way.
So
and
there is
along
on that
140th.
side of the road.
Yes, there is.
And you anticipate that's still going to be there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That was all my questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the final plat of Nazar Heights with the 6 recommendations.
All right, there's a motion to approve the final plat application with the 6 conditions. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Montello.
Yes.
Volkert.
Yes.
Weinmeier.
Yes.
Zakowski.
Yes.
Lindell.
Yes.
Kiddo.
Yes.
Item 8.4 is a certified survey map from Sean Bird, Willow Wind, lots 66 to 74 and 147 to 150.
The certified survey map is in the Willow Wind development. This was similar to a project that was brought forward to the Plan Commission and City Council about 2 years ago. In terms of the process, this was reviewed by staff. It was reviewed at the Plan Commission at their last meeting, and then it was before the council here tonight. I think everyone's familiar with the location of the Willow Wind development. Just for reference, this is Westfield's Hospital in the Deerfield. This is West 8th Street. So looking at a few lots here, and in this case, the applicant is looking to, currently there's 13 parcels. The applicant is looking to reduce that to 10 parcels. So really just creating 10 slightly larger lots than was originally platted, which many of the lots in here originally were platted only 28 feet wide. So really, we're just looking to reduce the number of parcels. This just shows the larger lots. So going from 4 down to 3 in 2 locations, and then going from 5 lots currently down to 4. Staff and the Plan Commission recommend approval of the CSM, subject to the 4 conditions that were presented at the Plan Commission meeting. Principal buildings, minimum setback 30 feet from the public right-of-way, minimum of 10 feet between the buildings. The developer will submit a landscaping plan at the time of the building permit. They tend to pull all the building permits for this all at one time. All grading, drainage, erosion control, and utility issues are subject to review and approval by the Public Works Director. And then there would be 3 unused water services that the developer would have to abandon. They did this previously a couple of years ago as well, and that would be addressed in the development agreement. So the recommendation from staff and the Plan Commission would be to approve the CSM subject to the 4 conditions.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to offer a motion that we approve the CSM for Sean Bird, Willow Wind lots 66 through 74 and 147 through 150 with the 4 conditions.
All right, there's a motion to approve with 4 conditions. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Volkert.
Yes.
Weinmeier.
Yes.
Zakowski.
Yes.
Lindell.
Yes.
Kiddo.
Yes.
Montello.
Yes.
Then 8.5 is ordinance 543, amending section 121-9-B or point B, point 10 of the zoning ordinance.
And this item is related just to our most recent item. Because this is located in a PUD, it does require an amendment to our ordinance. So it's really just adding this red language here. This is more of a technicality, but just noting that this is amended 3/9/2020. Again, because it's a PUD district, you can see currently they went through the same process 2 years ago, most recently amended 3/12/18. So included in your packet is the ordinance 543, which just makes that text amendment to the city code. This was noticed as a Class 2 notice, and we had a public hearing at the Plan Commission as well. So the recommendation from staff and the Plan Commission would be to approve ordinance 543.
Offer a motion that we approve ordinance 543.
Second.
And the rules.
And suspend the rules, please.
All right, so there's a motion and a second to approve ordinance 543 and suspend the rules. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Weinmeier,
Yes.
Zakowski.
Yes.
Lindell,
Yes.
Kiddo,
Yes.
Montello,
Yes.
Volkert.
Item 8.6 is extraterritorial CSM review application, Lagnus, which is on 2213 State Highway 65.
So properties that are located in the township, but within our 1.5 mile extraterritorial plat review authority, have to submit either an extraterritorial CSM or an extraterritorial plat for review and approval by the Plan Commission and City Council. This was reviewed by staff in February, went to the Plan Commission on March 3rd, and then is before the City Council tonight for final action. Just in terms of location, this is north of New Richmond, this is Highway 65, and this is 220th. And this is just on the very fringe. You can see this red line here is our 1.5 miles, kind of cuts through it through this property. It is guided in our future land use map for low-density residential. In terms of the CSM itself, the current owner is looking to subdivide, basically to have one parcel shown as Lot 1 with the existing buildings, and then have unplatted lands, which is farmland, so that they may, sell or lease that privately from the existing buildings. So the recommendation from staff and Plan Commission is to approve the extraterritorial certified survey map.
I'll make a motion to approve the application from Langness for CSM.
All right, there's a motion to approve the extraterritorial CSM for 2213 State Highway 65. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Zakowski.
Yes.
Lindell,
Yes.
Montello,
Yes.
Volkert. Weinmeier,
Yes.
Kiddo.
Yes.
Item 8.7, the certified survey map, City of New Richmond, Monette Park.
Then our final CSM was submitted by the City of New Richmond. This shows Manette Park. I think everyone's familiar with the location. Currently, this was shown as 2 parcels on the county map. There was also a small piece, I can skip ahead here, right here at the end of the streets that was dedicated to the city a few years ago. This certified survey map is really just kind of cleaning this area up. As the council is aware, we have the Marshall Jefferson reconstruction project further on the agenda here for bidding, and I'm really just kind of looking to clean this up and get this recorded before that project occurs. So the recommendation from DRC and Plan Commission is approval of the certified survey map as presented.
Mr. Mayor, I'll offer a motion that we approve the certified survey map for the City of New Richmond, Monette Park. Is that a suspend the rules?
Nope.
Okay, then I don't want to.
You're golden.
I don't want to.
Very good. So we have a motion and not a suspension of the rules.
It is.
To approve the certified survey map, City of New Richmond, Monette Park. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Was that the land we got from Boris for tearing their building down? Okay.
Any other questions? All right, call the roll.
Alderman Lindell,
Yes.
Kiddo,
Yes.
Montello,
Yes.
Volkert,
Yes.
Weinmeier,
Yes.
Zakowski.
Yes.
And then item 8.8, golf cart permit fee, resolution 032003.
So as the council may recall, towards the end of 2019, the council took action to allow golf carts on public streets beginning April 1st. At that time, we had not set a fee for our fee schedule. So the recommendation from staff was to set an annual permit fee of $25. We came up with that number just looking at what some of the surrounding communities who allow golf carts to see what they charge. $25 to $30 seemed to be kind of the norm for this area. Looking at Prescott, Red Wing, there are some that were more. We felt this was a reasonable number. So included in your packet is resolution 032003, just setting that annual permit fee at $25.
No, just for the benefit of the fact that it's not part of this ordinance, and I know I've been involved in talking about the golf cart. For the benefit of folks who may be listening tonight for the first time, golf cart operation is going to be allowed between when and when?
So it would match our winter parking. So it would be from April 1st through November 1st of 2020. We'll have an application form and a vehicle sticker available at the police department. And in the coming weeks, we'll actually have, police department has prepared a frequently asked question handout, and we'll be putting that online and on city's Facebook and social media pages as well, just with information about, where can you drive, where can't you drive, what are rules about, seat belts, lighting, just some of the highlights from the ordinance. So
Yeah, it's super important that folks understand it's not just golf carts pell-mell running all over the city, and that there's going to be regulations for what they can be. I just wanted to have you go through that. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to offer a motion that we approve Resolution 032003, that's the golf cart permit fee.
Very good. So there's a motion to approve the resolution, $25 golf cart fee. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Kiddo,
Yes.
Montello,
Yes.
Volkert,
Yes.
Weinmeier,
Yes.
Zakowski. Yes. Lindell.
Yes.
Item 8-9 is the Jefferson Marshall Street and Utility Project.
Mayor and Council, as you know, we've been working on the design of this project as identified in the capital improvement plan for this year. And we did have our public information meeting a couple of weeks ago to get feedback from folks. And so I just wanted to kind of quickly go through some of the highlights of the design and some of those comments from the residents that were able to incorporate. So this plan this aerial photo shows the overall plan for the project, and it's a little difficult to see, but basically the extent of the construction is going to be this one block of West Lincoln Road here between Jefferson and Marshall, and then the whole loop, Jefferson and Marshall, and then this section of Jefferson that goes out to West 4th Street. So the project is going to include complete reconstruction of the water and sewer infrastructure, stormwater, and curb and gutter and street as well. So, one of the kind of the most, I guess, prominent feedback that we've heard from folks at the meeting and outside of the meeting is again that need for the sanitary sewer replacement, and that was kind of one of the things that Alderman Weinmeier had brought up as a reason to kind of move this project forward. And so we've heard back from a lot of folks that are planning to replace their portion of their sewer laterals in conjunction with the project as well, which is a great thing from a timing standpoint. One of the things that we did want to get feedback from folks on was kind of the bike and pedestrian accommodations in the neighborhood. And so the display boards back here kind of show 4 different options that we had put together for how we might accommodate bikes and pedestrians and to what level. One thing that we wanted to make sure we addressed was this connection from Manette Park. We just talked about the trail there that kind of comes right to the corner of the park, and our bike and pedestrian plan as well as our comp plan called for a connection from the trail on West 4th Street to this Manette Park Trail. And so with this project, it seemed like the time to make that connection. So we did look at several different options for that. We looked at options that included sidewalk within the neighborhood. We looked at options that included kind of just a bare minimum trail connection, and then options that included trail connection out to kind of both directions on West 4th Street here. And then we also asked folks, if they were out biking, walking, kind of where would they be headed? And, kind of a lot of the feedback that we got was that there's a lot of foot traffic that goes to, to the BP or kind of toward downtown. So that kind of led to our next question about where should we have crossing locations of West 4th Street. And so there's 2 crossings out there right now, one at West River and one kind of mid-block between East River and Odana. And the preference was really to keep those crossing locations where they are. And in looking at that, the spacing is good. I think it gives us the opportunity to maybe improve those crossings, potentially with a flashing beacon similar to what we've got on County A that we installed a couple of years ago. And then, by keeping those crossings in the same location, we don't disrupt those patterns that people have set. And if we move those crossings around, then what we find is people still cross there, and now maybe we've made a less safe situation there. So the feedback that we got was really a preference for, kind of this connection to come up, give people a path to get to the convenience store and then to be able to cross and head into downtown. The other piece of it, because we didn't want to add another crossing here at East River just because it would be too close to this crossing location, and we, based on the mayor's feedback, we took this to the park board to see, if there's an appetite for kind of adding a trail connection through Victoria Park on the south side there. So the park board moved forward a recommendation to include that connection in the design. And what that allows us to do is basically on this side, we're providing a route to this crossing. On this side, we're providing a route to this crossing. And we're really kind of discouraging, pedestrians from kind of getting to this intersection, so we don't end up with people that are crossing where we don't have a crosswalk and signage and maybe some other improvements related to that. So kind of two other things related to that I wanted to mention. Part of this, and Ron Radke owns these 2 buildings right here. I've met with Ron a couple of times and kind of talked about some options, because in order to make this work, we need an easement across his property for this trail. We also have an existing storm sewer that runs across that property that we need an easement for, and we have a water main that actually runs along this property line that we don't have an easement for, that we would relocate to this same easement area. So we would look to acquire an easement kind of on the north side of this north apartment building that would accommodate water main, storm sewer, as well as the trail connection. And then kind of in exchange for that easement, what we're proposing is that we would include in the project expansion of the parking lot that serves both of these apartment buildings in between, and that would accommodate the needs of both of those buildings and free up the space on the north side that's currently parking for this apartment.
Who would pay for that?
So the city would pay for that in exchange for the easement.
Backside easement?
On the north side. And we don't have those exact numbers, but I think just off the cuff, based on the value of, we need about probably 7,000 to 8,000 square feet of easement here. I think that those numbers will come out pretty well with the value of that versus the value of the pavement and that type of thing.
And that's directly linked to the Manette Trail coming up?
Yep, exactly.
Jeremiah, when you do these projects, the individual property owners are on their own to take care of their lateral if they want to upgrade it.
Correct.
I know that when the project happened on North Star, there were some folks who couldn't get them done because their contractor just didn't
Yeah.
work out.
Yeah.
Does it make sense to at least offer folks the opportunity, if the city has this contractor who's doing this work, who's rated to do the other work, I'm assuming, to at least make that option, that if they want to pay whatever the fee is or however they do it right, that's up, they can get their own.
Yeah.
But at least if they pick that contractor, they know they're going to get it done because that person's there working and say, hey, we have to have this as part of our schedule.
And we did, so in 2016, when we did North Star, the city's contractor, we had approached them about that, and they basically said, no, we don't want to get into that. We've got our project, and that's the extent of what we want to do. In 2017, on North 4th Street, we had a different contractor, and they said, yep, we'll do whoever wants theirs done will do it for,
Whatever.
this price per foot and that type of thing. So I do think there's an advantage to that, but, I guess we need the willingness from our contractor, to be able to do that work on the private side.
So I guess then my question is, let's say that we pick a contractor that's not willing to do that.
Yeah.
It certainly wouldn't be outside of our purview. I'm assuming that the property owners would be super happy if we said, okay, we put it out for bid, and XYZ company, who's not the contractor actually gave us a price per foot, and asking those residents, would you like to have the option of being able to call somebody who's really working in conjunction with the contractor so your project can get done?
Yeah. And I think, if we wanted to organize that more formally, I think we could. We may have to check. The one thing would be on the water side. It might, PSC has a lot of rules and regulations as far as kind of what the city can be involved in on private side lateral replacements. So that'd be the one hoop we'd have to jump through. But I guess kind of what's happening out here, I think more organically is the residents are kind of banding together to try to get, a plumber that is going to do multiple, different residents. And so we've had some of the folks that were at the meeting have reached out kind of to try to get to know their names of their neighbors so that they can start to kind of go out and say, hey, we're going to hire this plumber, or we're going to look at hiring these plumbers. The more of us that do this, the better price we're going to get. So I think that is happening, kind of on its own out there.
How old are those going to the houses?
So I think the subdivision was platted in the 50s. So I think most of the homes were built around that time, 50s, early 60s.
How long do they usually last, or supposed to last?
And with modern materials, they'll certainly last longer than that. What a lot of these laterals that were put in the sewer laterals that were put in at the time were an Orangeburg pipe, which is kind of like a
Tar paper.
tar paper, basically. And over time, as it sits in ground, especially as exposed to water, it softens, it gets pliable, tree roots get down there and kind of wrap around it and those types of things. So that particular material doesn't have the longevity of even some of the other materials that may have been used before that.
So is that good to emphasize to the people that live there that
Yeah.
their stuff could go anytime, it'll cost them more
Yeah.
in the long run?
Yeah, for sure. And kind of the next step with the residents out there, so, after tonight's meeting, we'll send out another mailing to folks kind of with this, this final, kind of concept and also, again, reiterate, kind of that idea that now is the time to do this if it's something that you can do.
Good.
So, I did meet with, the trail, once it goes through the easement here, then would run within the right-of-way in front of these two parcels, and then adjacent to the city park here. I did have a couple of meetings with the owners of this northern parcel, and they had concerns about the trail, being in front of their house and those types of things. So, I think initially there was certainly a lot of resistance to that idea, but after meeting with them and I've encouraged them to go kind of take a look at, it'd be real similar to what we did on North 4th Street, and I wouldn't say that they're excited about it, but I think there's that that willingness to kind of be on board with it. As I mentioned, we do have the right-of-way space there, so there isn't any need for acquisition or easement or anything in these areas. It's just kind of that concern about the, kind of what you're seeing when you look out the front window of the house.
Would it be a blacktop trail?
Correct. Yep.
So then we'd have to,
So we
do the
would
maintenance.
maintain it, correct. Yep.
that's why they probably like that.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the selling point too. But I do think in this case, it does make a lot of sense to have, this is really going to be kind of a main backbone of our trail system here, that connection east to west. So I think it makes sense to have that be a trail, and I think that'll function well there.
What company did the North 4th project? McCabe? A1.
Yes, McCabe did North Fourth.
And who did Star?
A1,
One?
yeah.
Okay.
So we did take this to Utility Commission as well, and to, as I mentioned, to the Park Board with the trail concept, and they recommended authorization to bid. Kind of the timeline moving forward is we would plan to put this project out to bids right away. We would open bids, I think April 2nd is the scheduled date, and then we would bring the bid results back to the council at the regular April meeting, would be the plan.
All right, does anybody have any questions?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Marshall Jefferson Street and Utility Project.
Bet. All right, so there's a motion to approve the Jefferson Marshall Street Utility Project. Is there a second to that
I'll
motion?
second that.
There's a second to the motion. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Lindell.
Yes.
Kittle.
Yes.
Montello.
Yes.
Folkert.
Yes.
Weinmeier.
Yes.
Zakowski.
Yes.
Then item 810 is the county Double G water main contract award.
Mayor and Council, another item in the capital improvement plan for this year, which is funded by the water utility, is the connection of water main along County Highway Double G from 140th to Peninsula Road. So we had previously been authorized by the Utility Commission to advertise for bids for this, and we did open bids and I brought those to the Utility Commission. A1 Excavating was a low bidder, $327,761.70. And basically, oh, this photo got cut off a little bit in the PowerPoint, but this is 140th Street, this is Double G, and then this connection will go to Peninsula Road. So you can see right now, Peninsula Heights subdivision is fed by a water main that goes from the Nazer addition over to here through the kind of the green space. So this would provide the redundancy and kind of the looping that we need for that subdivision.
This is additional water service?
What's that?
You just used the word redundancy. Is this an additional water service?
So basically, anytime anytime we're dealing with water main, we want to create loops. So we can provide service. Not only do we provide fresher water that way because the water is always circulating through that loop, but it also gives us the opportunity to maintain service. So if we were to have a main break in this area right here, this subdivision then would be
Dry.
entirely without water.
Yep.
And so we always want to have a loop so that we can close a valve here and we can maintain service that way. If we were to have a main break and we had to shut off and we don't have a loop, it's not only just not providing service to those folks, but the loss in pressure in this water main then creates a potential for bacteria to enter that water main. And so then you have additional issues associated with that, with having to disinfect and go through a significant process to bring that water main back online once you have the main repaired.
Just relative to the whole city of Richmond, off the top of your head, what percentage of the city, roughly, has redundant water service available to it? Most of it? Not most of it?
Yeah, more than 95%. Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah, I do have a question on the contingency. If we don't use the contingency, where does that go then?
So that would be, Ryan can jump in, but it would be borrowed for by the water utility. So then any unused funds would basically be used within the water utility for
Other
future
projects,
projects or that type of thing.
Okay, but the money stays there, okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I offer a motion that we approve this low bid from A1 Excavating in the amount of $327,761.70 and authorizing staff to spend up to 10% in contingency funds for change orders. So you will be borrowing, sorry, the motion stopped, but you will be borrowing 10% more than the 327. Is that what I'm understanding, Jeremiah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Second?
Okay, and we have a motion and a second to approve the A1 excavating. So in the packet on page 96, is the number of 413,637? Is that not the number?
That's the total that includes both design and construction engineering for the project. So that was just to make a comparison to the total number in the capital plan.
All right, so any other discussion? Call the roll?
Alderman Kiddo,
Yes.
Montello,
Yes.
Volkert,
Yes.
Weinmeier,
Yes.
Zakowski.
Yes.
Lindell.
Yes.
And now, since I teed it up nicely for the engineering,
So we have a proposal in the packet from SEH to provide construction engineering on that GG water main project for $29,600. And as the mayor mentioned, that in addition to the design engineering project that SEH was selected for, and the construction estimate or construction bid amount comes out to 413 and some change, which is about 40 to 50,000 less than what was included in the capital plan.
any questions?
I'll offer a motion that we approve the contract that included in the agenda packet for SEH Construction Services, that water main extension, the amount of $29,600.
So there's a motion to approve the contract for engineering. Is there a second to that motion?
Second?
The motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Montello,
Yes.
Volkert,
Yes.
Weinmeier,
Yes.
Zakowski.
Yes.
Lindell,
Yes.
Kiddo.
Yes.
Then item 812 is the wastewater treatment plant upgrades.
So Mayor and Council, you recall a month or two ago, we had a public hearing where we talked about kind of the updates to the facility plan for the wastewater treatment plant and the upcoming project there that's also included in the capital plan for 2020. MSA has been working on the design of this project and a similar timeline to the Jefferson Marshall Road project where we're requesting authorization to bid the project. We would bring the bid results back to the Utility Commission and the council in April. So the project will include basically everything that we've identified at the plant to kind of get us through the next 20 years based on the current population and flow projections. Grit removal, sludge storage tank covers, sludge thickener equipment replacement, some phosphorus analyzing equipment, and some other pumping and piping replacements throughout the plant.
Mr. Mayor, I'll offer a motion that we approve the authorization to bid the 2020 wastewater treatment plant upgrade project as outlined.
All right, there's a motion to put it out for bids. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Are there grants involved in this?
So we'll be applying for Clean Water Fund
Okay.
money on the project. So we generally, I guess what we're planning on is that would just be a subsidized loan through the DNR. There have been instances where, depending on how many applications they get and how much money they have available in a given year, they have in past years had money available for grants. And if there was, we would be, we'd be in line basically to receive a share of that as part of the project.
Any other discussion?
Do any of these upgrades address some of the issues we were talking about last month? About the clean water and anything like that? As far as rivers and land use?
No, so this would be separate from kind of the phosphorus
continuous.
None of these
limit.
have anything to do with any of that?
The only thing that we're doing really right now with phosphorus is we're kind of optimizing what we can remove at the plant with our existing system. So one of the pieces of this project will be a phosphorus analyzer. Basically what it'll do is in real time it'll monitor how much phosphorus we're discharging, and it'll adjust the feed rate of our chemical feed pumps to kind of match that amount of phosphorus to get us down to kind of the most efficient removal that we can get with the existing system. And that's one of the things that DNR is looking for as part of that adaptive management plan that we're going to start moving forward with is, kind of step one is make sure we're getting as much out as we can at the plant, and then kind of go out and start to look at these things in the watershed.
So with these improvements, that's a lot better way to measure what's actually going on.
It's not a reportable analysis. So in other words, it doesn't count for like our DNR
No, but-
reporting. That still has to go to a lab. But yeah, it gives us a much better handle, like, this minute or this hour, what's going out, as opposed to, sending out a sample, getting a result back, and knowing what we discharged, 3 days ago.
Is that clean water fund, is that a zero interest one? Or?
It is, no, it's a 55% of the market rate, so basically it's subsidized down to that percentage. So it'll be, at this point, be less than 2% interest on the loan.
Does the equipment monitor, or does it actually regulate the chemical in feed, or?
It does, yep. So basically a signal from that this analyzer will come back through the SCADA system, and it'll tell that feed pump, that chemical feed pump, how fast to run. So it'll match kind of the effluent phosphorus.
Any other discussion? All right, call the roll.
Alderman Volkert,
Yes.
Weinmeier,
Yes.
Zakowski.
Yes.
Lindell,
Yes.
Kiddo,
Yes.
Montello.
Yes.
All right, item 813, is Public Works Truck Bid Award.
Mayor and Council, we did have a pickup truck replacement in the capital plan for 2020. And so we had solicited bids for the replacement from the 3 local dealerships specifically, and also advertised on the website. We received 2 bids for this truck, one from Burns, one from Johnson Ford. One thing to point out, the truck does include a lift gate, and this is something that we've been kind of advised by United Heartland, who handles our work comp insurance, to have something like this on hand so that we can avoid some of the manual material handling in and out of the bed of a pickup truck with manhole castings and things like that we shouldn't be lifting. So we included that in this bid. We did get a total bid from Bernard's, including a lift gate of $34,355.50, and from Johnson Ford of $36,307. They didn't include the lift gate, so we got a price to outsource that, and so that's the comparison there. So we're recommending award to Bernard's for $34,355.50.
Make a motion to approve Bernard's $3,455.50 for the Public Works new truck.
I'll second that.
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve the Bernard's bid for the truck, $34,355.50. Is there any discussion?
Jeremiah, clarify this for me again. What year is the truck we're replacing?
2009.
Really? It was 2004 this morning.
Yeah, we had a typo in the
Okay.
in the
is.
PowerPoint
Now
this
I'm
morning. So.
Any other discussion? All right, call the roll.
Alderman Weinmeier,
Yes.
Zakowski.
Yes.
Lindell,
Yes.
Kiddo,
Yes.
Montello,
Abstain.
Volkert.
Yes.
Then item 814 is the Public Works Department Crash Attenuator.
So this was another piece of equipment included in the capital plan for 2020, and this was something that one of our field staff had suggested, and a lot of times, obviously, we have staff that end up working in the roadway, and there's some people out there sometimes that aren't paying attention to what they're doing when they're driving. So fortunately, we haven't had any incidents recently, but we've certainly had some close calls where folks are not paying attention. What this would allow us to do, so basically the piece of equipment is this trailer with the aero board on it. So you've seen the aero board in use when we do work on Knowles Avenue or something like that, where It's telling people to move over to the other lane. This attenuator adds a level of protection for our staff as well as the driver. If someone was to rear end the lag vehicle that was pulling this attenuator, basically it absorbs the impact of that crash. And so in order to improve safety, protect our staff, and as I mentioned, protect the motorists as well, this provides a really substantial increase, of substantial benefit to those folks that are working in the right-of-way. So we did get 4 bids for this. We're recommending approval of the low bid for $18,629, and that cost would be shared between electric, water, wastewater, and public works departments, because all those departments would use the equipment.
Can you go back a slide?
Yep. Whoops. This one?
What is that?
That's that trailer after it's been run into.
It's done its job.
Yep. So basically, those rails, those long rails that run the full length, they turn into springs, kind of to absorb that impact. So they curl into circles and absorb that impact. And you can see, I think the most telling piece of this is this framework is still upright. So the vehicle didn't get this far when it ran into that, the back of that trailer.
It's interesting when you see these, the ones that I'm used to seeing, it seems like there's more bag space, I'm going to call it. That bumper cushion. This really doesn't have much. It's relying on the construction of that frame to do the job.
Yep, exactly. So that frame actually comes apart when it's impacted and turns into, that spring.
I think some of the highway ones are bigger.
Correct.
Would
Yep, and
need
may have more
impact.
weight and kind of the cushioning and stuff in there that you're referencing, Mike.
And is there parts that fly off of that thing when it's hit?
No, so, I mean, that's basically, it's all made to be self-contained. You actually, they say, you can, and this one I don't think you could, but you can salvage part of the frame even, like after it's been in this accident. Obviously, most of this is sacrificial, but in this case, you maybe could salvage the aero board or they say in some cases part of the frame, and you would replace that, kind of this back 3/4, I guess, of the trailer.
And from
Everything holds together.
From a cost standpoint, I'm assuming somebody's at fault and runs into that.
Right.
Their insurance, if they have coverage, is going to pay for the replacement of that equipment.
Yeah, right.
And we've maybe saved serious injury or possibly even death to one of the workers. Mr. Mayor, I'm going to offer a motion that we approve the purchasing of the TTMA 100 from Warning Lights in the amount of $18,629.
Second?
All right, there's a motion and a second to purchase the crash attenuator. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Zakowski.
Yes.
Lindell.
Yes.
Kittle.
Yes.
Montello.
Yes.
Volkert.
Yes.
Weinmeier.
Yes.
And then the 8.15 2020 revaluation.
Kiddo. Mayor and council, in your packet is just an update. There's no action being requested tonight. But Mayor Fred has requested that as part of the revaluation that we provide a monthly update to the council as well as the community as where we're trending and what's going to be occurring as part of the revaluation in 2020. So as the council has discussed, the spring accurate appraisal is going to begin the process of conducting that revaluation, which includes all properties within the city's jurisdiction. Why it's being conducted at this point is because we're below where our assessed value needs to be from a state's perspective. So currently we're at 76% of assessment ratio, where the state is saying that we should be closer to 100%. The last revaluation was conducted over 11 years ago in 2009, and so we want to make sure that the values that our properties have are at market rate and are equitably distributed as they should be against the different classes that they are categorized in. So in February, we sent out a frequently, asked question and letter to all of our property owners within the city of New Richmond, which highlighted some questions that residents, property owners might have in regards to the revaluation, and also provided a timeline in regards to what to expect in the coming months. So just to kind of highlight what that letter indicated, was that in the period of March to June, the city is being divided into various quadrants. And starting in later March, the accurate appraisal will be sending out postcards. And again, not everyone will receive their postcard at the same time. So there's going to be varying levels and waves of when people are going to be receiving their postcard. When we have that from Accurate, we'll be using social media to push that out to residents to say that, you know, if you're in this general area, you should be receiving your postcard. And what that postcard will provide residents is an understanding of what the revaluation will be. And also the opportunity to schedule walkthroughs with the assessor of your property if you wish. Those walkthroughs would be held between April 20th and the end of June. And what that scheduled walkthrough would look like is the assessor to come in at the time that you have allotted with them, and to make sure that the property record card is accurate and reflective of what the property's current state is today. This is elective, it's not mandatory. And again, it's something that the property owner can schedule directly with Accurate appraisal on. Once those walkthroughs are conducted at the end of June, then a notification will be sent to the property owner. Again, that's indicating what the value of that property is. Those letters will be sent out between July 9th and 14th. And then from that period in time, once residents or the property owner receives that new valuation letter, they have the opportunity to discuss that valuation with the assessors over the open book period of time. Open book is going to be held during a 3-day window, July 29th through July 31st. Those appointments can be scheduled and are going to be held within the council chambers. But again, if those times don't work, those questions can be addressed with the assessor anytime after the letter is received. So if someone's going to be out of town on vacation, because the summer is a busy time of month, they can schedule or call the assessor directly to talk about how the valuation was achieved. And then at that point, once open book has concluded, then there's the board of review, which would be held on September 10th, and that's the finalization of the assessment roll. Again, throughout this entire process, we're going to be posting additional information as to what to expect in each one of these processes and timelines as we work through the revaluation. But if anybody has any questions, we've set up an email. It's assessor@newrichmondwi.gov that you can email a question to. We will return that as quickly as possible. Typically within 48 hours, we're returning a response. You can also call the assessor kind of hotline that we've set up, which is the 715-243-0491 number. And additional information is posted on the city's website as well. At this point, the letter is posted with the frequently asked questions. But again, as we work through the time period and the various months, we'll be providing additional information on the city's website. So if there's any questions, I can take those at this time.
Because a full evaluation hasn't been done in 11 years, do you anticipate basically everybody's values going up, or have we caught up with that, or, you know, are we pretty accurate now in discussions with the company that's going to do it?
Well, currently the assessment ratio as a whole of the city is at 76%. So the state is indicating to us that we need to be closer to that 100%. So there are some properties, depending upon when they've been purchased, that are going to be closer to where that fair market value are. And there's going to be properties that haven't gone through any type of change within that 11-year period, which are going to be probably closer to that 76% of 100%. So what we would see is that there's certainly going to be some properties that would increase in value. There might be some that are where they will remain at. But essentially, we want to make sure that we're distributing the values of home in a fair and equitable fashion.
It seems to me something that's extremely important is that people understand when they get that notice, and some folks will be clutching their heart and looking to the heavens because of the change in values. to be able to tell people that the city as a whole basically had an increase in value of, and I'm just going to use your numbers that you've presented, and they're not yours, but the numbers that we have, and say, well, the city's valuation increased 24%. Let's just say that was the case as a whole. Then people can look at theirs and say, well, mine went up about that. Okay, really net effect to my taxes really shouldn't be anything. I mean, that's all based on next year's budget. But assuming the budget didn't change, or just to make that assumption, but boy, if mine went up 20%, I'm going to pay less portion. And if my assessed value went up 40%, I can expect that it's going to cost me more. My experience has been that people see that number, and I think relative to Craig's question, the average property is going to see an increase that's outside the realm of what they're used to seeing, the average property. And so just to try to kind of quiet some of the churn so that people can kind of cut it off in advance, because I can't imagine the calls. And it's nice that you didn't direct those to the mayor when people get those notices, that you have a special website that's not to him. But
I'm actually, I like where you're going, not about the email part, but actually I have been fielding a lot of questions of, my God, my taxes are going to skyrocket. And I think that's your point.
We've all been fielding those questions already.
Right, so no, but again, just to help, because the degree of angst that's created when somebody gets that card, and you're just like, holy cats, that can't be right, and they want to call and they want to find out right away. So at least the more information we can provide when the notices go out to at least help those individuals who kind of want to look at it and take it for its entirety, I just think that's good.
Yes.
And it is fair to say that this particular reassessment may be faster than some that have been done in the past, based on the fact that they're not saying, hey, you got to let us in. They're going to try to get in, but people don't have to say yes. And with folks' schedule, that just gets to be problematic. You really don't have a lot of time if they were going to try to get in all 4,500 homes or whatever it is.
Well, there are multiple assessors. So
Sure.
that typically there would be 3 assessors in a week doing that, which it still is quite a few properties to get to. The benefit of being able to view the home is that they understand what the finishes are, and to make sure that that's accurate from a valuation perspective. Do they anticipate that they're going to be able to get into every home? No, and obviously schedules and things of that nature. But I think it's important too that they are only a phone call away, that if a resident or a property owner wants to relay information, I would encourage them to get a hold of the assessor and relay that information to them. If there's anything that's even still, if there's something that was in process and wasn't completed as of 1/1/2020, to make sure that the assessor is aware that as of that date, because again, values are based upon a January 1st year. So if there's something that's in process, the assessor is going to be taking that into consideration and cross-referencing what's been pulled out in the building permits and things of that nature as well, to make sure that the value is as accurate as possible.
And the initial notice that went out, did I read right? They did let people know that by not, if a homeowner chooses, or property owner chooses not to allow the assessor to come in, that doesn't forego their right to come to the board of review, which is not the way the rule used to be.
Correct.
Did we communicate that to people? Did they communicate that? in
So
first
that
mail?
will be communicated as part of that notification that will go out between March and into May with that first initial postcard mailing. But that's a very good point that, yes, 2 years ago, that law was changed, that previously, if you did not allow the assessor to view your home, you could not contest the value of the property. That has changed, that you can contest or you can ask the value of the home without allowing them to enter the property. Again, we would encourage it just to make sure that the property record card is accurate, to make sure that, if there's currently on the property record card, there's 2 bathrooms that are finished, that it says 2 and not 3, or to make sure that when they're getting to the amenities within the home, it's accurate.
On our website, are we going to have the phone numbers and emails or, sites that they can go to, so it's right on our webpage?
Yes, and it currently is as well.
And also now, Going with this company, I think we talked about in the future that we shouldn't have a reval because they'll be updating all the time. So we shouldn't have this reval again, or hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
But we're talking about ongoing all the time, so we don't get this 76% anymore.
Right, so that we're staying closer to that 100%. And that's because of how they approach essentially it's a revaluation annually, so it's adjusting it based upon market trends, so that we aren't where we're at today, and having such a long lag time too between when our last revaluation is to when we're needing one.
Once you go by 90%, then you have to have a reval within 2 or 3 years?
Correct. You can fall below 10% for 3 years without the state then coming in and doing the revaluation for the community.
Oh. Wouldn't be the cheapest then, huh?
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Item 816 is the resolution 032004, the 2019 amended budget.
Mayor and council, this is as part of the 2019 reconciling. Annually, we bring forward, once we've completed all of our financial review, our entries and our reconciliations, as well as appropriations moving forward from any carry forward money or assigned balance monies, we bring forward an amended budget, which reflects those appropriations, those journal entries. It also records actual versus budget, and it's required as part of the audit requirements and as part of city policy as well. So at this level, we just kind of go over a higher elevation in regards to revenues and expenditures, and then after the audit's commenced, I'll bring forward the full fourth quarter financial report to the council during April. But just kind of some of the highlights, the 2019 actuals, we ended on a positive budget variance. Revenues were just over or just under 7.3 million at $7,285,637. The variance in dollars to budget was favorable by 624,000, which is a percentage of 109% above budget. Expenditures were just under 7.2 at $7,164,422, a variance to budget of 503,000. And again, as looking at from a variance percentage to budget at 107% of budget. So when we look at the variance in dollars of 624,000 positive on the revenue side and 503,000, obviously over on the expenditures, there still is a net positive budget variance of 121,000. Some of those main drivers on the revenue side include the sale of the park building, which was anticipated to occur in 2018, was unbudgeted in 2019, so has a positive variance with that. Grants and donations, positive variance of 155,000. Interest on investments was 102,000 favorable to budget. Insurance recoveries due to, this was hail proceeds that we still finalized some of the repairs to the police department as well as the center. So that had a positive variance of 50,000, building and inspection fees of 26,000, and room tax dollars of 24,000. On the expenditure side, mainly the grants and donations piece on the revenue of the 155,000, that's attributable to the share ride taxi. Again, when we budget the city's expense portion, which is about 10%. So on the expenditure and the revenue side, you'll see both of those increase because we have to bring in the full values of that. So the 156,000 in the ride share is mainly offset by the revenue side, an increase in that as well. Insurance repairs was 88,000, and again, attributable to the 2017 hail damage. Those insurance repairs occurred on the police department and the center. Then there was a $70,000 transfer to the Parkland Trust. That was from the proceeds of the park building sale. And then finally, street lighting. This was something that we discussed as the 2020 budget, but also in 2019, there was a unfavorable variance on street lighting of 45,000 due to just increased lighting within the city from development and things of that nature. So we've taken that into account as part of the 2020 budget this coming year. When we look at fund balance, again, fund balance is made up of 3 segments, which is unrestricted. Unrestricted means that there are no encumbrance on those funds to be able to how we use those. Assigned fund balance is there's certain restrictions that the city places on those funds. And then non-spendable has farther restrictions. As you can see, in 2019, the fund balance increases by just under 200,000 to 2.8 compared to 2.7 last year, with the unrestricted increasing slightly. Unrestricted is the red bar, and assigned is in the green bar as well. When we look at unrestricted fund balance in regards to where our goal is as the city, we want to ensure that we have that unrestricted fund balance available to weather any unforeseen type of circumstances that may arise. The Government Finance Officers Association recommends a 17% of your revenues should be in the form of unrestricted fund balance. The city has a policy of at least 25%, and currently we are at 31.5% at the end of 2019. So we are in a good position, and that's met favorably from the aspect of our investors too. When we go in for a bond rating, we want to ensure that there's the confidence in our potential creditors that we have those funds necessary to make sure that we make whole our obligations as a city as well. So at this point, I'll take any questions or if there's additional clarification that's needed. In the packet, there's the breakdown as to the assigned fund balance, as well as the carry forward amounts that we would be bringing forward into 2020, which includes some of those room tax dollars, unspent insurance proceeds that are to be used in the future, and then from an assigned fund balance perspective, proceeds from the remaining park building sale, some pensions and sustainability funds as well. We ask that on the recommendation that there's 3 separate recommendations. The first being the approval of the resolution 032004, which would approve the amending of the 2019 budget. The second is the approval to carry forward the restricted fund balance to 2020 in the amount of $153,224.94. And lastly, approval of assigned fund balance in the amount of $345,532.42.
And when you say 3 separate recommendations, is that an interpretation of you want 3 separate motions or 1 motion for all of it?
We can take 1 motion for all. It just needs to be spelled out on those 3 separate
You bet.
line
Just wanted to
items.
clarify that.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'll offer a motion that we approve Resolution 032004. I'm not going to read through all of them, but approve all 3, the carry forward restricted fund balance and approval of the assigned fund balance.
All right, there's a motion to approve all 3 of the recommendations. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
When is unrestricted fund balance too much? I mean, is there a number that you get too much in there, you're holding actually the taxpayers' money?
Well, as part of the 2020 budget, we want to make sure that it's a healthy balance. So where we've looked at it from a perspective of anywhere between, 25% to 36%. Again, in the 2020 budget, you'll recall we have a pay period or a payroll because of how the calendars fall. We are using $150,000 of fund balance to cover that. So we do look for opportunities of where we want to make sure that we're keeping that balance, but still making sure that we have a healthy reserve in place, especially as our revenues continue to grow as a community as well. When we're at that $7.2 million in revenues, we want to ensure that the fund balance is in a healthy position. So where we're at today and with what's planned in the 2020 capital budget, I feel like we are in a very strong and good position, but wouldn't recommend reducing that at this point in time.
Yeah, because I've seen some other fund balances in other cities that aren't that healthy. They might be 15 to 18%, a lot of them. I think we're in really great shape, but I think some other communities aren't, maybe.
I have a question about 17, 18, and 19, the non-spendable amounts. Why are those so much higher than they had been in 14, 15, and 16? What constitute those amounts?
So those are the assigned, that green portion of it are carry forward funds. From 17 to 18, we had a significant portion of insurance proceed money that we had received but not yet expended. So that made up about $350,000 roughly in regards to that assigned carry forward
Those are the non-spendable amounts because you've already budgeted for doing something with that money.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Kiddo.
Yes.
Montello.
Yes.
Volkert. Yes. Weinmeier.
Yes.
Zakowski.
Yes.
Lindell.
Yes.
All right, item 9 is communications miscellaneous. So today was a big, kind of a panic day. I'm going to urge people, calm down, let's deal with facts, not fiction. CDC recommends wash your hands well. We're going to be fine. Whether it's coronavirus or the flu, wash your hands. As I said at the Planning Commission, it's a great day, wash your hands. Follow the CDC recommendations. We're going to be fine. Don't panic.
Mr. Mayor, any consideration to releasing the city's strategic toilet paper reserve?
Boy, I wish we could.
Calm the local markets. I know Alderman Volker, experienced, did a little scouting mission today, and
Selling out.
Is your house low, that means, or what?
TMI, but just remain calm, deal with facts. Other communication, we do have a special day coming up in the community, March 17th, St. Patrick's. It's our grand parade at 4 p.m. Support the parade with buttons. You can pick them up at local businesses. Support our proud Irish heritage. Found out, I won't call out names, but found out another alderman has a fair amount of Irish in him. I am quite a bit Irish, so I wear my Irish pride with pride. So come on out, enjoy the parade, enjoy the weather here. Any other communications? All right.
offer motion, we adjourn.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We are adjourned.
We can ask where that. It'll take a few minutes now, we gotta go.
I mean, if I look at, I think maybe last week, sure, crazy. But as long as you don't sell, you haven't lost anything.
Talking about those sewer laterals, and when they did East and West River Drive, we had the opportunity. I didn't do it because I have the newest house.
Okay.
The neighbor, this is to the south of me, she didn't do it either. And today, when I went home after our meeting we had this morning,
Are we in the ED lab tomorrow?
Let me come up there a second.
house with the hose running through the window into the basement.
Oh, that must have been a mess.
Yeah.
When you have that opportunity to get it done, it's cheaper when they're there.
Absolutely.
You don't.